死に場所を求める男の名は百獣のカイドウ。
In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at Kaido, a character I've enjoyed reading more than most villains in One Piece. Not that there's anything wrong with the other One Piece villains, they've just never quite compelled me as much as the likes of Crocodile, Arlong, Enel, or Blackbeard. If there's anything Eiichiro Oda really excels at, is creating villains you absolutely hate with every ounce of your being, with the primary examples being the aforementioned. But that is applicable to the world government as well. That's not, however, applicable to Kaido, and yes, he was responsible for the enslavement and imprisonment of thousands of innocent people, but I just cannot bring myself to hate this guy. If anything, I pity him, mainly because he doesn't know what to do with his life, and that's what set him as an outlier to me. That being said, I don't think there have been that many remarkable antagonists past the Marineford arc, with the exception of Doflamingo and Big Mom, of course. And then there's Kaido. The hulking behemoth's first appearance was in chapter 795, and his introduction is quite exactly what you would expect from someone of this caliber. Urouge is speaking of a man who seeked for a place to die. Later we find out he wants to go out in a honorable fashion, just like Whitebeard, Oden, and Roger. Deep down, he's jealous of these legendary figures. So Oda showed us that Kaido did look up to the greatest pirates of his generation, but for all the wrong reasons. Kaido admired Oden, Roger, and Whitebeard, not for how they lived, but for how great they died. He wants to die a great death, so he's remembered as a grandiose pirate, but he's nothing more than a slaughterous oppressor. Breaking down his appearance, Kaido has a bulky, muscular look to him, as well as an extremely gigantic body. He has a mustache and horns that resembles that of a Japanese dragon. Etched on his left arm is an orange dragon scales tattoo, flowing hair, yellow reptile-esque eyes, scowling face. All those aspects contribute to his intimidating semblance. Back to chapter 795, it is said in a one-on-one fight, always bet on Kaido. However, he had faced defeat on 7 occasions, subjected to torture time and time again as a prisoner. He'd been captured by the Marines 18 times. Kaido's resilience is such that when put to death under the guillotine, the blade cracked. When being hanged, the rope snapped. When skewered, the spear broke. No one has ever been able to come up with the means to kill this monster, including he himself. Kaido's egotistical and selfish personality leads him to think there is no one better than him, going as far as to promise him to kill Big Mom should she ever enter Wano. Despite Kaido's edgy and exaggerated nature, he didn't make much of seeing Luffy on a newspaper after the events of Dressrosa. You know, the person who screwed up his Smile deal? To leave no stones unturned, we've gotta look back at Kaido's backstory as a 15-year-old novice at piracy. On chapter 957, the Marine Fleet Admiral Akainu is partaking in an interesting conversation with Fujitora about a hearsay of a possible alliance between Kaido and Big Mom that is regarded as the Rock's second coming. Now, the Rock's pirates was a ruthless crew of pirates that navigated the seas 40 years before the current storyline. It was back then that Kaido developed a bond with Charlotte Lingling, their leader Rox Dick Sebek, a man considered to be the most dangerous pirate of his time, ruled over the seas before Gold Roger and his crew. Sengoku addressed them as being very violent with both friends and enemies. Eventually, the Rock's pirates faced their defeat against Gold Roger and Monkey D. Garp at Gold Valley, granting Garp the title of Marine's Hero. 5 years following the Rock's disbandment, each member of the Rock's crew would go on to form their own pirate crews. Kaido and Big Mom's relationship is further touched upon when Big Mom requests an alliance with the Yonko to take Luffy's head. Kaido resentfully refuses, claiming he is the one who's got a score to settle with the Straw Hat. Big Mom asks that the two of them get along like old times and reminds Kaido of his lifelong debt with her for being given the Wo no Mi, Kaido's Zoan-type devil fruit that allows him to transform into a hybrid and full version of a blue dragon. Kaido tried to attack Whitebeard when he was going to save Ace, but Shanks stopped him somehow. Kaido is considered to be the strongest creature in the world. He's most likely an Oni. Kaido is the mortal enemy of the Kozuki family and participated in the plan of Orochi to exterminate the clan. After Queen escorts Big Mom to Onigashima, Kaido ordered his men to take away the shackles off of Big Mom, demonstrating that he was not afraid of her strength and power. He reminded her that since she violated his territory and was ready to fight him, he would kill her. Kaido and Big Mom somehow formed an alliance, and the two of them were happily together. They agreed that after conquering the world, they could always try to kill each other again. Kaido and Big Mom planned the new Onigashima project to find the ancient weapons in One Piece and go to war with the world government. Kaido's relationship with his daughter is a strained one, as according to Yamato herself, when she told Kaido that she looks up to Kozuki Oden, he attacked and abused her since she was 8 years old. Kaido also put explosive handcuffs on his daughter, which would explode if she left Onigashima. In return, Yamato now has a strong special hatred for Kaido. He publicly calls her an idiot. Kaido refers to Yamato as his son, showing that he respects Yamato's penchant for being seen as a man. When facing formidable opponents like Luffy or Kid, Kaido is willing to let them join his team despite the trouble they caused him or their resistance. At the same time, he disliked people like Luffy and Kid who have Conqueror's Haki because he saw there were too many of them and he didn't want Conqueror's Haki users to join his team. Doflamingo was an ally of the Beast Pirates and made a deal with Kaido to exchange the Smile Devil Fruit for weapons. Kaido needed Doflamingo so that one day he could gather an army of 500 powerful Smile Devil Fruit users into battle. When Kaido heard the news that Doflamingo was defeated, Kaido cried and said it was because Doflamingo was too weak. As a Yonko, Kaido is an extremely powerful individual. As such, Doflamingo, a fearless and ruthless pirate, was terrified at the thought of having to go against him. Kaido has many powerful underlings, and after hiring Doflamingo and Caesar Clown, he was able to make a large army of artificial devil fruit users called gifters. But now that Doflamingo has been defeated, the only way of expanding his army is by breaking the wheels from powerful individuals by sending them to Udon to torture them until they submit. Kaido, unlike other One Piece villains who smiles and laughs all the time, is a serious, no-nonsense entity, and he is not tolerable of those who opposes him. Kaido is a heavy drinker and takes pleasure in ingesting alcohol. When he is drunk, oftentimes he becomes emotional, crying, laughing, or becoming more tempered. Kaido doesn't care about the damage he inflicts and the lives he endangers. All the eatable and drinkable food and water of the country of Wano is reserved for him and the Shogun Orochi, leading to the impoverishment and degradation of the country. Prisoners held at Udon are constantly being overworked and mistreated, as Kaido only views them as expendable pawns that he uses to produce weapons. When Kaido discloses his plan of making Wano a pirate nation to Orochi, Orochi objects to the idea and is beheaded by Kaido. Orochi's followers are then offered an ultimatum: either they join the Beast Pirates and go along with Kaido's plan, or they die. At this point, politics, Wano's history, or the Kozuki no longer bites Kaido. All he's concerned about is finding the One Piece and dominating the world. Kaido doesn't seem to be very fond of having duties and responsibilities, and mostly enjoys partying and going on drinking binges. And he's very annoyed when Orochi decides to shift focus away from the fun of the Fire Festival to the execution of Kozuki Momonosuke. On the second year of Oden's return to Wano, Kaido had been responsible for the destruction of Gecko Moria's old crew. Kaido shows himself to be the kind of person who will only admit to a lie when it suits him, because he said that had Oden teamed up with Hyogoro upon his return and gathered the samurai and gangsters as his enemies, it would have made for a rough battle for the Beast Pirates. Kaido even ponders on what could have happened if Oden had stayed true to his infamous reputation of a dangerous psycho, and even compared Oden to Whitebeard and Roger, likening their powerfulness and softness, and what it seemed like just another pointless one-sided battle put Kaido's might to the test, and eventually Kaido gets sliced by Oden's powerful technique. On Oden's final advance to end Kaido once and for all, he is distracted by Kurozumi Higurashi, who turned into Momonosuke, pretending to be in a sorry plight. It almost gets Oden killed. We can see Kaido's insatisfaction with the circumstances of his victory. On the day of the 9 Red Scabbards execution, Kaido, like Orochi and the rest of the Flower Capital, wants to be amused witnessing the samurai being boiled to death, but he takes it a step further, accepting Oden's request to free the ones who survived being inside the scorchingly hot oil-filled pan. Orochi even complained that Oden's followers weren't touching the fervent elephant oil. Kaido apologizes to Oden for Higurashi's interference and said that he killed her to atone right before giving Oden his unwavering passing. Kaido went after Oden's family to end them, and he came across Momonosuke and grew very disappointed in Oden's son. He thought it was a waste of his time to kill such a pathetic child, and he left him there to be torched at the Kozuki's abode. Kaido confronted Momonosuke one more time on the day of his execution, affirming he finds it hard to believe Momonosuke is actually Oden's son. A last opportunity is given to Momonosuke to identify himself as the son of Oden, and if he said he was not Oden's son, Momonosuke would be freed and the execution would be cancelled. But Kaido was taken aback by Momonosuke's courageous attitude, and just when he was about to carry on with the execution, he is caught off guard by the 9 red scabbards, in which Kaido saw Oden, and the warning to not underestimate Oden's samurai came rushing back to his mind, while acknowledging his scar will follow him and haunt him to the grave. Oden is someone Kaido thinks to have been the best chance of defeating him the samurai had. Kaido sincerely cares for the lives of his most powerful subordinates, such as on the occasion where Jack is quickly taken out by Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, and affirmed he couldn't stand by watching one of his precious men being murdered right in front of his eyes. And it was not because Jack is weak, but rather because his enemy is way too strong, albeit not as skilled as Oden was. On chapter 993, Kaido states that there will never be a samurai as monstrous as him again. Kaido also unveils every time his wound aches, he's reminded of Oden. The determination of the 9 red scabbards is appreciated by Kaido. Kaido's philosophy is that death completes a person. There's 2 ways it could go. Either death can complete a person's disgraces and insignificance in life, or it can complete someone's glory and might. If there is one word that could sum up Kaido perfectly, it's violence. He's entertained by violence, he enjoys watching others suffer, he's going to kill or torture anyone who doesn't fall in line with his violent personal desires. He said it himself. Every now and then Big Mom is reminding Kaido of his lifelong debt, but he's completely oblivious to that, always postponing his reckoning or avoiding the matter altogether. Unlike the other people who laugh when Luffy says he's going to become the Pirate King, Kaido becomes angry and acts like, "Do you know who you're in the presence of, brat? Repeat that to my face." Kaido, more than everyone Luffy has taken on, is the typical kind of tough guy who enjoys a fight to the death, and the bigger the challenge that comes his way, the more excited and ecstatic he gets. He thinks these supernovas might be monsters in their own right. Chapter 1001 shows how Kaido tends to go about doing what needs to be done, and that is making things more fun and interesting, claiming whoever wins this fight gets that much closer to becoming the king of the pirates. When Kaido was being held captive by the navy, his lineage factor was used in Vegapunk to try and synthesize an artificial devil fruit that were to be seized by the government for their own purposes, but it was ruled a failure and left on Punk hazard, so the government has no knowledge that Momonosuke was the one who ate that fruit, and that it worked just as they were intending it to. At the end of chapter 1008, Luffy and the Supernovas are overwhelmed by Kaido and Big Mom. They suggest separating on the grounds that the 2 of them together are too much. As a reaction to Luffy's upbeat approach, Kaido compliments how Luffy's eyes never seem to lose their fire. Big Mom was referred to as a pathetic old bag when she was thrown off of Onigashima, but he tried to get Prometheus to be released and go save Lin Lin nonetheless. In the heat of the moment, Kaido, on a mockingly tone, comments on Luffy's pitiful state, which brought him memories of his first fight with the Straw Hat, sadistically deciding between heinous methods of killing Luffy, but Zoro interrupted him by slashing him at the chest with Emma. Zoro gave everything he had and was hoping he'd at least knock Kaido off his feet. Kaido responds Zoro had done enough and the wound will remain with him. Apparently, Kaido is also against giving people false expectations, and in his mind, he should have just cut Luffy's head off and announced his victory, but now they will believe that Luffy will win. And then the next panel features Kaido saying Luffy couldn't be Joy Boy, the most logical conclusion all of us can get to. Joy Boy probably refers to a title or identity someone can attain. Does Kaido know of Joy Boy's arrival at Wano 20 years past the execution of Kozuki Oden? All it's known is that at some point he learned about Joy Boy, and for some reason he started looking for the next one. King, a Lunarian, apparently thought Kaido could have become Joy Boy and changed the world, although he ultimately thought the character was a mere legend. Could the reason why Kaido wants to find the next Joy Boy finding the One Piece? Seems unlikely, as he only now resolved he's going to go in search of the One Piece. Could it be because the new Joy Boy will inherit the knowledge of the Void Century, the true story of the world, and the ancient weapons, and that's why Luffy isn't Joy Boy? Who knows, let's wait until we have more information. So Kaido favors accepting defeat, dying bravely like a samurai, over fighting a losing battle. When Yamato refers to Kaido by his name, he corrects Yamato, expecting her to still hold some consideration for him. On top of that, Yamato said she couldn't sail with the Straw Hats before driving him out of Wano. Kaido says he's there because it's Wano, maybe because he knows of Joy Boy's return. While fighting his daughter, Kaido mentions that letting a Oden wannabe like Yamato eat a mythical Zoan fruit, representative of Wano's guardian deity, Makami, was a mistake. To Kaido, there's no simpler choice than becoming a tyrant leader and claiming the fruits of slave labor. He has no qualms for killing his own daughter, as he thinks from the moment Yamato decided to become Kozuki Oden, she should have been prepared for war, and added, those who showed her compassion did not do it out of the kindness of their heart, but because they feared her, because she was powerful enough to impose her will on others. From a young age, even before forming his own pirate crew, Kaido always dreamt big, and the moment he laid eyes upon Ember, held subject of experiments, he developed a strong liking to him, believing he was the only one who could change the world, and he thought Ember was deserving of a more powerful name, hence his name King. Subsequently, Kaido gleefully declared King his right-hand man, initiating the Beast Pirates. It seems as though whenever Kaido is overcome with joy and pleasure, he just can't help himself but to drink until his joyful behavior turns into a sorrowful and emotional outburst. Big Mom's defeat had a major impact on a drunk Kaido, who lamented the loss of his lifelong comrade. Additionally, Kaido is infuriated over an interference in his fight with Luffy, stirring up memories of how his fight against Oden had ended in the same way, and this was the last straw for him. When drunk, Kaido goes through several different emotional states. In his sad phase, he goes off on a tangent, rambling incoherences and wallowing in self-pity. In his crying drunk phase, he seems like a child throwing a fit because her mother won't buy her a toy. His angry drunk phase is the closest he ever gets to being sober, as he takes a long hiatus to even open his mouth to say anything, focusing entirely on his battle with Luffy. This is the opposite to his flirty drunk phase, when he lovingly and politely asks Luffy to stop hitting him. Kaido thinks a brave face doesn't make the samurai strong, nor should they think of themselves as such when they still need their self-deceptive rationalization. So when Luffy's put out of commission, Kaido tries to break the spirits of the samurai, saying Luffy is dead, only later to be blindsided by Luffy himself, who just awakened his devil fruit. The fight takes a brief pause, during which Kaido apologizes for the interruption. Kaido is dumbfounded at the sight of this new transformation of Luffy's. He never saw someone fight with such versatility and freedom. Kaido affirmed to Luffy that a ridiculously powerful devil fruit alone is not enough to conquer the seas, alluding briefly to Gold Roger and how he'd done it with no devil fruit powers. Kaido pretty much confirmed what we all were thinking, that the hurdles of not possessing a devil fruit power can only be overcome with Haki, a variation of Kaido's Zoan transformation in which he encases his entire body in flames. He produces enough heat to vaporize his opponent. He intended to do the same with Luffy. Similar to Big Mom, all the way back when he was only 10 years old, he was referred to as the strongest soldier around and was offered up for Navy enlistment, but he obviously objected to the idea of being bossed around by the scummy celestial dragons and fled. He occasionally got caught on purpose when he was hungry. Already 15 years old, he began drawing the attention of household names in piracy and joined the Rock's crew. They went to God Valley shortly after Kaido joined, and you know the rest. The news of their defeat shook up the entire world, who still believed the world would now revolve around the former members of the Rock's crew, and this belief held true for over 40 years, until their might would be paralleled by the worst generation. Kaido believed one's worth could only be gauged in battle, and he wants all who relish peace to know the hellish reality of war. Kaido conversed a long time ago with King about who could Joy Boy be, and he said, "If Joy Boy is the same man that you are waiting for, King, then I know who he is. Joy Boy is the man who will be able to beat me one day." And just like that, the fight is over with the defeat of the King of the Beasts, Kaido. If you've gotten entertainment value out of this video, I humbly ask you to hit the like button, share this video out there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified of my latest uploads. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.